Rubber World Anomaly. Welcome back to the Audit. I am your host, Jay. You have all seen this glitch. You watch an AI video, and a hand has 6 fingers. A face dissolves into a sunset. A cat melts into the floor like liquid. You laugh and call it bad art. I call it raw data. To understand why this happens, you have to understand the difference between rigid body physics and soft body physics. In a physical universe, matter is held together by the strong nuclear force. A bone is hard. A table is solid. To break them requires energy. But in a simulated universe, solidity is not a physical law. It is just a line of code. It is a collision constraint. The system has to actively calculate. Does object A hit object B? Yes. Stop movement. This calculation is expensive. It eats up processing power. So what happens when the system or the AI tries to save memory? It turns off the physics engine and just runs the rendering engine. This is rubber world logic. When the collision constraints are removed, matter defaults to its natural state. Fluid data. Asterisk. Without the instruction to be hard, a car tire merges with the asphalt. Asterisk. Without the instruction to be bone, a finger stretches like taffy. The AI is not failing to draw reality. The AI is drawing reality exactly as it exists in the source code, before the rules of physics are applied. It is showing you the universe as a stream of probabilities, not a collection of solids. So the next time you dream that you can fly, or walk through a wall, or see an object morph in an AI video, do not dismiss it. You're simply witnessing the simulation in safe mode. The graphics are on, but the physics are off. The universe is not made of atoms, friends. It is made of information, and information is flexible. So what's the point? I'm showing that dreams and AI are the same thing. Access to the source code without the hard logic restrictions. This validates my use of AI visuals in my shorts. They aren't just content. They are accurate depictions of the underlying code. Enjoy the shorts too. They are fun. So, we have proven the stage is made of rubber. The props are digital. Gravity is just a setting. But this leads to the single most violent contradiction in the source code. If this is all a safe mode simulation, why does it hurt so much? Why would an infinite system architect design a reality where hearts break, bodies fail, and wars burn? You assume the suffering is a glitch. You assume the admin fell asleep at the wheel. You're wrong. The pain is not a bug. The pain is the interface. In the next audit, we are going to crack open the suffering logs. I will tell you why I looked a priest in the eye and told him the terrifying truth. The creator isn't angry at you. The creator is just bored. Prepare your defense. The difficulty settings are locked. Grand glitch. If the universe is just a simulation game, why does it hurt so bad? And why do the smartest people, scientists, have the worst lives? Divorce, disease, unhappiness? Here is the sovereign audit breakdown of this contradiction. 1. The time paradox. No born equals no time. Time is not a fundamental constant. It is a rendering speed. If you are not logged and born, the simulation does not render frames for you. Time is just the mechanism the system uses to keep everything from happening at once. The solution. You don't need to solve time. You need to realize that the past is just a stored memory file, and the future is just a prediction algorithm. The only thing that is real is the frame you are in right now is the present. 2. The cannabis high. How to feel it naturally. How to make time feel as good as being high, without the drugs. The mechanism. Cannabis and other substances. Forces your brain to stop predicting the future and regretting the past. It forces you into the now. That high is just the feeling of zero resistance. The sovereign solution. You achieve this permanently through the audit witnessing. When you're high, you look at a tree and say, wow, look at that texture. You are auditing the tree instead of ignoring it. To feel this way sober, you must stop processing the data and start admiring the graphics. Treat your walk to the grocery store like a cutscene in a 4000 video game. Look at the lighting. Look at the NPCs. When you stop judging the moment and start watching it, you get the natural dopamine of the observer. 3. The smart person traps scientists with diabetes and divorce. This is your most brutal and accurate observation. The problem. Philosophers and scientists study the code, but they identify with the avatar. They know the math of the universe. E equals Mic A. But they still get angry when their wife leaves them. Why? because they haven't integrated the knowledge. They're like a mechanic who knows exactly how a Ferrari engine works but drives a broken Toyota. They have the information but not the transformation. The sovereign difference. The auditor J is not trying to study the simulation to get a PhD. The scientist wants to be right. The auditor wants to be free. 4. The horror. Mental health and animal suffering, the meat industry. This is the hardest part of the Vet Up 5.0 system, the Kali Yuga, Dark Age. Mental health. This is a hardware malfunction. The soul operator is fine, but the brain processor has a chemical imbalance or trauma. It is like trying to run high-end software on a damaged iPhone. The user isn't broken. The device is. Animals suffering halal. Factory farming. In the matrix complexity theory, animals are innocent code. They run on pure instinct source code without the ego virus. The root directory purpose of suffering. I'm your host, Jay. Welcome back to the audit. We are going to answer the only questions that matter. Why was the system booted up? Why is the data so painful? And why can't you log out? You think you are a victim of the code. You are incorrect. Let's check the logs. 1. The boot sequence. The source code, what you call God, is infinite. But infinite is a problem. If you are everything, you experience nothing. It is static noise. It is boring. So, the admin initiates the boot sequence. Think of a screenwriter. They have the entire story in their head, but they feel nothing. To experience the emotion, they must write the script, cast the actors, and roll the camera. This is your function. Life was created so the source could experience itself. 2. The physics of friction. Now, the difficult part. Why the pain? In a simulation, peace is low-density data. It takes zero processing power to render a blank screen. Suffering is high-density data. Physics requires resistance to create electricity. A story requires conflict to create a plot. If the hero wins on page 1, the audience leaves the theater. The pain is not a punishment. It is system feedback. If fire burns your hand, the system is flashing a red error. Warning. Hardware damage imminent. If you feel heartbreak, the system is logging a glitch. Error. Attachment to temporary file detected. 3. The while loop samsara. So why does it repeat? Why are we stuck in history? Because the system runs on a simple line of syntax. While lesson underscore learned equals false repeat underscore life underscore cycle. The grand glitch is that you keep trying to fix the reflection, not the projector. You're trying to scrub the movie screen to change the picture. The loop only breaks when the operator stops reacting to the data and starts auditing it. When you look at the chaos and say, "Oh, I see the rubber world logic," instead of "why me?" the loop ends. The syntax clears. We need to calibrate your settings. You look at the chaos of the world, the wars, the heartbreak, the noise, and you ask, "Why is this happening to me?" That is the wrong preposition. It is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Let me explain the mechanics of existence using simple optical engineering. 1. The light, the source. This is the source code. Pure energy. Infinite potential. But on its own it is blinding white noise. It has no shape. It has no story. 2. The film, the universe. This is the reality, you see. The buildings. The people. The events. This is the movie screen. 3. The lens, Yule. This is the missing component. This is you. Light cannot become a movie without a lens to focus it onto the film. You are not the writer of the script. You are not the actor on the screen. You are the precision glass in the middle. Here's the malfunction in the current population. Most of you have forgotten you are the lens. You have identified with the data film. Preservation. The soul. Let's keep this simple. The biggest fear you have there. Root of every bit of anxiety. In your system is the fear of loss. You're afraid of losing your money, your health, your loved ones, and eventually, your life. But I'm here to tell you, you cannot lose anything, because you are not the movie. Think about going to the cinema. You watch a tragedy. The main character dies. The world explodes. The screen goes black. Do you run out of the theater screaming that you died? No. You stand up. You walk out. You go home. Why? Yes, you know that the movie was just light projected onto a screen. The story ended, but the observer you is still perfectly intact. The solution: your life here is the film. Your body is the character. But you with a soul, the operator, the consciousness, you are the light passing through the lens. When the movie gets sad, the light does not get wet. When the movie gets violent, the light does not bleed. When the movie ends, the light does not die. It just waits for the next reel. The directive. The solution to your suffering is simple. Stop identifying with the picture. You're suffering because you think you are the character on the screen getting hit. Shift your seat. Realize you are the light making the character visible. Nothing is ever lost. The script changes. The actors change. The scenery changes. But the light? The soul? It is permanent. It is safe. It is eternal. You have one final question. The one that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. What happens when the screen goes black? What happens when I die? The layman thinks death is the end. They think the light goes out. This is a misunderstanding of the hardware. 1. The end of the reel. When you die, your body, the biological suit, shuts down. The hardware fails. But remember the physics. You are not the hardware. You are the signal. Think of the cinema again. When the movie finishes, the screen goes white. The story's over. The hero is gone. The villain is gone. But the light in the projector? It is still shining. It is actually brighter than ever, because it is no longer being filtered through the film strip. 2. The data upload. Physics tells us energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only change form. When the biological suit drops, your consciousness, the operator, does not vanish. It effectively logs out of the server. All the data you collected, the love, the lessons, the friction is uploaded to the cloud, the source. Nothing is deleted. Every frame you witnessed is saved in the archives. 3. The lobby, the choice. So where do you go? You go back to the projector booth. You return to the state of pure potential. For a moment, you remember who you really are. You remember that you were just playing a role. You remember that the tragedy was just a script. And then, because the source is infinite, and remember, infinite equals boring, you make a choice. You pick up a new reel. You choose a new genre. You cast a new avatar. And you say, okay, admin, run it again. But this time, let's make it a comedy. The verdict. Death is not an exit. It is just a scene change. Do not be afraid of the blank screen. It just means the feature presentation is over, and you are heading back to the lobby for popcorn. You're safe. You are eternal. You are the light that never goes out. Now the most common complaint in the customer support logs. I didn't ask to be born. I didn't sign up for this. This was forced on me. It is a valid feeling, but it is legally incorrect. 1. The terms of service, the lobby. Before you entered this timeline, before you put on the biological suit, you were in the lobby. You were in the state of infinite boredom. You looked at the simulation options. You saw the Earth v.5.0 package. You saw the wars. You saw the heartbreak. You saw the struggle. And do you know what you did? You smashed the I agree button. Why? Because you didn't want a nap. You wanted a ride. You're like the guy who buys a ticket for the scariest roller coaster in the park, straps himself in, and then screams, "Let me off," as soon as the drop starts. 2. The amnesia clause. You ask, if I agreed to this, why don't I remember? Because that is part of the contract. If you knew it was just a game, the pain wouldn't hurt. And if the pain doesn't hurt, the stakes aren't real. And if the stakes aren't real, you get bored again. To make the game immersive, you agreed to a voluntary memory wipe. You agreed to forget. You are the immortal operator, so that you could genuinely feel the fear of the mortal avatar. 3. The proof of consent. You claim you didn't want life? Look at your instincts. When a car swerves at you, you jump. When you get hungry, you eat. When you are underwater, you kick for the surface. Your entire hard drive is coated with survival instinct. If you truly didn't want to play, you wouldn't fight so hard to stay in the game. Deep down, the operator loves the rush. The verdict. You weren't drafted. You volunteered. You aren't a victim of creation. You're a daredevil with amnesia. Stop complaining about the ride you chose. Throw your hands up and scream. That's what you came here for. You point to the slaughterhouse, the cancer ward, the innocent animal in the cage, and you ask, is this my fault? No. It is the friction of a system running on low voltage. In V8.5.0, the machine eats itself. It is tragic, yes, but it is not a mistake. The animal is pure code, no ego, no karma. Their suffering is simply the heat, generated by a high-entropy world, grinding its gears. But hear this. The light in them is the same light in you. Karma is not punishment. It is just cloud storage. Every scream, every joy, is uploaded. Nothing is deleted. You signed the waiver. You chose this iron era not to fix the ride, but to survive it. The horror ends when the operator stops judging the glitch. Do not add your grief to the noise floor. Be the witness. The movie ends. The screen goes black. But you never do.